Wording can be more important than the actual prayer. Can be. I didn't say it is, but I'm sure that you get what you ask for. And so the prophetics of INTJs is just not limited to their own minds. It's limited to an intuition ability and feelings. The intuition and the feelings are what gets the job done when it comes to prophetics. And to have the intuition, you have to see something that's there. You can see the pieces of the puzzle, but you don't know what they are. So you have to investigate to its final conclusion. But when the stumbling block's removed, you can see it more clearly for what it is, because everybody's teaching an incomplete form that doesn't come to the final conclusion. So with all the incomplete forms out there, you are brainwashed into thinking a certain way. And when you think a certain way, you can't get around those. And that's the log in the eye. Basically, you can't see past it. And you're trying to see past it, and you can't. And the intuition and the help comes. And it's not, you can understand there's a piece missing. You pick up that little invisible piece of the puzzle, and you know that there's a piece missing. And you have to get past that invisible piece to actually see what's beyond that piece. You have to see what that piece is, and you have to see what's beyond that piece, because that piece explains the other sections. It's like Apostle Paul says he died every day. Well, why did he die every day? Only Apostle Paul would know that. Unless you duplicate it yourself. And I can't say that it's me that duplicated it, because God is the one that's all powerful, right? So an INTJ is going to have to get past that. It's going to have to figure out that piece of the puzzle. And you can put the human element in it, but you don't realize that how to duplicate it. But it's only by doing it that you're able to duplicate it. And if you're able to duplicate it, you get the same answer. So if God answered it a certain way to somebody in the Bible, you're going to get the answer pretty much the same. And it doesn't matter if you know what's in the Bible or not, because you're coming to the natural conclusion of what you're actually doing and what you're looking at. So the Bible is irrelevant when it comes to finding out if there is more to life than just life. And so when the answers finally come, and you can see what the rest of the why it is after that, and the reason Apostle Paul said he died every day was because he also was saying something about baptism for the dead, and it's still in the Bible. They just argue it upside down. They're acting like he's upset about it, and it's more like he's not getting credit for doing it. See, there's a difference in thought there. So if you're looking at things in a negative way, you're only going to see negative. Because one of the basics for getting around the stumbling blocks is you have to believe that they're talking about the church in everything that they're saying. Because they're single-minded. Everybody there, they're single-minded in God, they're single-minded in Jesus Christ. They're all working together as a team, and they're not arguing about it. Because they know that the gifts of the Spirit come, and it dictates the positions of those people. God chooses the positions of the people, not the people, not the church. So there's a harmony that's involved. The only people that would fight against it are the people that don't know it. That don't know that's true. So in order to get past the stumbling blocks, you have to do things a certain way. That was the purpose of all the videos before, was to get people to come to conclusions about things. And obviously there's not too many thinkers out there, and they don't like just looking off into a parking lot and listen to somebody talk and go ho-hum and oh and this and that, see, because the video's not exciting. But see, that's the feelings part too. We tend to stay back. The INTJs are more confined. It's not about, and I tell you what, I've been on YouTube and I've seen videos like this, and it is really hard to sit and listen to somebody if you don't know that they have investigated something to its final conclusion. See, and that's the beauty of an INTJ. See, so an INTJ, when they're done, they will put that out to the public. So if you watch this video and you see that this is this way, you need to investigate. You can go to like 16personalities.com, but don't overthink it. Just put in there what you actually do. I mean, you have to think about what you actually do. You'll get your personality type, and then you can work on your friends and stuff like that and find out what their personality types are, and you'll find out that their personality types are pretty close to yours. You'll fall into a certain group. See, and it's a start. Seeing that pattern's a start. But you have to believe in INTJ when he comes to his final conclusion. Because if he wasn't positive about that final conclusion, then it wouldn't benefit anybody for him to tell it to. So there is a place that you can go and be saved. It's just not the place you think. It'd be the last place you would think. And that is the conclusion that I came up with, was if it wasn't for the extra help that I had, I probably wouldn't have ever found it, because people tend to believe other people. It's not a matter of investigation. It's not a matter of intuition. They don't want to listen because somebody said something bad, and that first impression really hurts everything. And that's kind of the condition of our world, is in this. But when you stop to realize that everything's incomplete, is because it was killed off. it doesn't exist. It didn't exist for a very long time. People were trying to figure it out, and and then the Bible got written, but it got written by incomplete sources. They didn't know what to put in or put out. And because those people didn't exist anymore. You had a group of people that were not a part of the original. And they believed they were part of the original, but they couldn't do the same things as the originals. And that's the whole point, is if you're not seeing it, then you shouldn't be there. And it's really hard to see the original thing because people don't realize that in religion that it's the same as what the Bible describes. The world has not changed. It's a few individuals that actually know the truth against the whole world that doesn't know the truth. And there's always the critics out there that want to say something ridiculing against something against them. See? So in that respect, it hasn't changed. In the same respect that when Jesus looked out over the crowd when he was hanging on the cross, he understood that they never knew God. They didn't know the joys. They didn't know how to communicate. They didn't know any of that. And that's what Jesus was doing. He was always in communication with it, and he was always shown what to do. And those people didn't have that. They didn't want it. They didn't know it existed. And they became angry and opinionated over the people that, with the people that were accusing, ridiculing, and it actually destroyed the whole church. And it cannot be duplicated through the regular churches because it's not really who they are. All the Bibles all come from the same source, and it wasn't written until way after the fact. So whatever writings they had were based hundreds and hundreds of years after the fact. And the way they treated Christians was very poor. You were lucky to stay alive, kind of thing. And this is all historically provable. So you have a political party that's designed a Bible for their own purposes. And it wasn't for mankind. It was more like, if there's a God, there's a devil. See? And if there's a devil can influence man just as well as the God can. And when it comes to death and destruction, I'm sure that's not showing a godly side. See, it's showing the devil's side. The destruction of man to keep him from salvation, see. So when you're looking at the Bible and how things work, you're just not going to get the truth. You're going to get death. And that political party isn't even around anymore, and it still influences everybody today. You're just not going to get the truth out of it. And it takes that extra help to come to a conclusion. And if Jesus Christ died on the cross as a curse, the same cursing effect that all people have is what killed him, murdered him. Then they're not going to come up with the same conclusion. They're not going to. They're going to come up with something that's very different. And if the devil changed the personality and everything of Adam and Eve, then for the downfall of mankind is not going to save mankind. You have to be changed back. And if you're not changed back, you're not an enlightened being that's able to say anything positive or negative towards anything. You know, and even though there's a lot of people out there that want to believe, that think they're doing the right thing, they still fall into those categories. And you have the first stage of salvation happening, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be saved if the devil can come in and sit next to them in church. The devil knows Scripture just as well as anybody knows it. Even better, because he was there when it got created. So he knows the truth, but he's a liar. And that's what you're going to get, is you're going to get the lies. And it's not the way everybody thinks it is. Everybody's wrong. And if Jesus was a curse hanging on the tree, then so will anything that has to do with anything good. Because the world's going to view it like that. And that is more than likely where you want to go. Because if the world is viewing it as disgusting and rotten and immoral, then it would pay to look there first, because the devil is a liar, and the devil lies to everybody. And the lying vanities come out, like Jonah says, the lying vanities. It's all about power, capturing power, and who's right, and it's the person with the power. So the world hasn't changed since then. It hasn't. It doesn't matter what you say. If you hear your pastor or anybody else in the church, your church, say something against another church or against sinners, then you are not a part of the real thing. And I'm not just talking about just the regular people. I'm talking about the people that run the church, the churches. But the regular people have a lot of influence on other regular people. But this is because of how the world is. That it hasn't changed from back then. Somebody's walking by. I'm going to take my camera down. So, you have to view it like that, because you haven't changed and from the world, and that's the most logical conclusion that I can give you in the short run, is that that's how it is. So an INTJ in the prophecy fulfilling is a special development that an INTJ has to work himself into. I don't think most are very good at it, and it's simplistic, but some have developed skills way beyond others and have specialized into a certain area. So I thought I'd bring you that, and I hope you have a good day, and I hope you enjoyed the video.